Hello and welcome back to Reddit League Season 3. This week in Week 4 we're going to be playing the AI-made world map. Now, regarding last week, we actually managed to scrape a win against Chicago. I can show you how that affects the table. It was, if I quickly show you, by only a couple hundred points, 743. Got lucky there. He made pretty much a similar mistake that I did in round 1. He made in round 2. But then he also couldn't quite find the right spots in round 1, so he lost roughly those 700 points in that round, which led to our win. Which means we didn't move in the table at all, but it's now a lot closer. We're on the same amount of points as Chicago is in third. It's just a score difference because pretty much all of our games so far have been relatively close. Have they? They haven't. Just round 1 and round 2 were relatively similar win and loss difference. Anyway, actually, what was I before? Yeah, I was in plus 41, now I'm in plus 784. This week we will go back to discussing the other seeds again because they were quite fun to play this week and I want to talk about them, but as always we'll do that at the end of the of our seed. Well, with the AI made world map, I didn't really do any practice apart from playing through the other division seeds just to get a quick grasp on what kind of locations we could find, and well, they were relatively unsurprisingly AI made locations. If you've played any of the other AI made world maps before, you'll be familiar with some of the locations you can get. And yeah, therefore, let's just hope that we'll do well. Let's open our seed. And yeah, let me just quickly close that and then let's go. Alright, we start in, it's slightly stuttering again, but it's not too much of an issue. It looks like either Brazil or Mexico. I've not found enough language to be able to confidently tell it apart. Yucatan. I always zoom in on completely the wrong area. There you go. Centro de Salud Sisal. Sisal is a city. I'm pretty sure that I don't quite know where it is right now. But we have the ocean to our north. And I know Sisal is pretty small. There it is. Alright. I'm just going to assume that that definitely is the right place. Because why wouldn't I? To be honest. It also seems familiar. I've been in Sisal once before in a game of GeoGuessr. It was a non-moving game and it took me quite a while to find. But it definitely did look like this. Where is that restaurant? Is that something that is... There it is. Restaurant Aquaria. And there's one road. Miko Apartments. That looks about right. And we're just slightly off this way. Is there any need to confirm that? We probably should. For anyone who's seen my 25k video of Mexico, always good to double check. Mexico especially. And especially if you're only really going off of shop POIs. That's interesting. Is that like an amusement park? Probably. But yeah, then we hit the main road here. So yeah. It is the right place, so we can make our guess. The round 1 curse is broken. We finally did it. We got a perfect score in round 1. Alright, off to the next one. Brazil, 100%. Ubaporanga sounds familiar, but I'm not about to go and find that in all of Brazil. Just knowing that, oops. Well, apparently the game wants me to go that way, so sure. I'd like to see that though. Minas. There we go. I should actually zoom in on the right place. Not the first time I've done that now. Uaporanga. Is that big enough to find though, is my question. I wouldn't be surprised if it's not, but I'm gonna have a quick look. Because I do suspect that it should be reasonably large. It's hard to tell where exactly the edges of the state are. I mean, it's Uba. It's close, but I can't find it exactly. So, we move on. Oh, probably should have moved on before because that is useful. 490, Moria 195, Ibatinga. Manhuacu is 90, Caratinga is 20. There it is, Uaporanga. Alright, let's move back. This interesting place, probably this here, makes the most sense to me. With this here, wait, we moved past it, didn't we? So we should be here. Even though this doesn't exist here, what can we do to double check that? There's a gas station here in Ipiranga that is here indeed. And we're just past there. Should be fine. Yep. Round 3. Alright. Now it's getting interesting. I think this is Brazil again. Which, well, we've got a very American heavy seed. Just missing a round in the US and a round in Canada to top it off. Okay. Let's see what we can find. Oh, I didn't mention, by the way, I probably should have. We're playing against Radux this week, so I really want to win. So I'd hope that we can find something here somewhere. That's interesting. Let's just go past that and not give it too much attention. Not waste any of our valuable time. This looks reasonably big. Oh. Well, never mind Brazil, we're in Indonesia. Malaysia, never mind. Sabah. Sabah. Any of the other things here should be useless, but Berakaitan di Sabah. Okay. Maybe we can figure out which town this is. Jaga Kebesian. I don't know if that is a town name. I think our hopes of a 25k are shattered at this point, because finding random town A in Sabah is something that is very difficult to do. Ladang Sahabat. What was that called? It's Labuan. Not quite. What do we have here? Pejabat Ladang Sahabat. Ladang Sahabat. That is Lahadatu in Sabah. There it is. Which means we're probably somewhere over here. Or are we actually in the city? We could be. Sendarawasi. What I actually think, though, is that we're not. What I think is that we're in a small town that just is part. That's Ferda Sahabat. Sahabat, and that's Sabahat. It's brilliant. There is Sendarawasi. Okay. That is the right town. Now, knowing that this is the right town, can we figure out where exactly we started? I presume up here somewhere. Let me try to go backtrack to the right place. Something that is probably very difficult to do. Go back to the start. Pretty far straight north-south, and then it makes a curve towards the west. Yeah, this is probably not going to happen. No. 35 kilometers. We were all the way over there. Okay. There is Ladang Sahabat. Okay, so probably the building there was just referring to a different, maybe the main building of that in Chendaravazi. But still, I think that's not too bad. It could have gone worse. I could have gone north and maybe made my way to here. But I don't think I would have had the time. I might have had the time to get there in 3.5 minutes, but finding that place would have been unlikely. So I'm not too unhappy with that. Round 4. Oh, there you go. Well, God. Welcome to suburban US. Which way do we go to get out of here? This is the thing you, oh God, this is the thing you don't want to see ever. Let's try it this way and then down. No, not here. Go back. Where the, no. Back to the start. Up here. Yes. Over here. Down here. There we go. Actually, let me look at that truck. Grants management. No. Unfortunate. Does it have anything? Wellington, but it doesn't tell me a state. Unfortunately. So let's try this way. US is always scary for me because I don't really have any way to tell where I am. Apart from just finding something that will tell me a state. I mean, landscape-wise, this looks like big lakes. Williamsburg, James City Council Public School. It looks like that sort of area near the Canada border, something like maybe Minnesota, Wisconsin, that area. But what do we have here? No. Okay. So I kind of want, okay, that might be helpful. Which, no, that isn't, but that is. 1664 West Point, Richmond. Okay, where's the 64? There's the 65. There's the 74. There's the 64. Junction with the 60. Actually, that's not the 64 anymore. Where does it become the 64 again? Nowhere. That's alright. 60. There's the 60. And there's the 60 again. And here it is again. Jesus. Okay. Toano, West Point, Richmond. Okay, can I do anything with that? There's north south 30. 60 just goes along here, which is kind of annoying. I just hope we're not too far away because I can't see Richmond, which is slightly worrying to me. Where does the 60 even... I mean, I'm out of time. 340 kilometers. Oh, it's a big city. Oh, that could be bad. Okay. All the way over there. Yeah, there it is, Toano. Okay. Well, we gotta hope Radix makes a mistake somewhere else then. Round 5. Give me something tricky. Oh no, that's Russia. Oh no. Okay. Well, this is gonna be fun, isn't it? This looks relatively central in Russia. And I'm just gonna have to hope that we find a sign that tells me the distance to some big cities. Because otherwise this could end tragically. Let's go. Hyper speed. Get me to a sign. There is a sign up front there. Is it useful? Doesn't look like it at first. Maybe actually. Ekaterinburg and Tumen. That is very helpful. Somewhere in between these. And there was a little village at the start that we could turn off to. Something like this, but not quite. There it is, Boa. Alright. There's a river which is called Kuyar. Looks like the right river. There is a cafe, so absolutely this is the right place. Make a guess. All right, the last round went great. Of course, it's gotta be the US again that messes me up. I mean, he had the exact same time in round 1 and round 2 with 2 minutes and 4. That's funny. Only used 12 minutes and 53 for the whole seed. Alright, let's look at the locations in detail to see where Radox might mess up. I don't see him messing up Sisal. I can't see him making a mistake there. Even if he doesn't find the Yucatan sign, the one that's also said Sisal on it, I still suspect that with the way the landscape works there, if he can figure out that it's Mexico, which shouldn't be too difficult. I think that was Gen 4 coverage, if I'm not mistaken, if I don't remember wrong, and I'm having some Mexico round from one of the other seeds in my head. Let me actually look. It isn't actually. I think that's Gen 3 coverage. So maybe. But still, he might lose a couple points there, but not enough. Round 2, I mean, that had loads of information. Finding a random Brazilian city is never easy, but as long as he doesn't go the wrong way and goes into town, which, I mean, I don't know which signs there are in that town, but it might make it a bit more difficult. If he goes the same way I did and finds that sign, it should be easy 5k. Then we had Malaysia. Tricky. You should, as long as he finds a sign that says Sabah, you should be fine. Even if he doesn't, it's relatively typical. Well, the thing is, he needs to find some writing. I think he could struggle if he doesn't find any. I don't know exactly which signs are up north. If he finds any signs, he's gonna figure out it's Malaysia. At which point, this is kind of the only place in Borneo that looks like this, in the Malaysian half of Borneo. Like, and when I say this is I mean sort of this area here. So again, might lose a couple 100 points, but shouldn't be too tragic for him. And then this round, I mean, if he really struggles and fails to make it out of the suburbs here, which, I mean, let's be real, is a possibility. It took me quite a while to get out of there. But you spawn so close to the main road there. As long as you take the right way once, you should be fine. The only thing he might struggle with is if he just decides to screw it up. I'm not going to go back to start. I'll try to find my way out of here like this. And then it kind of depends on if he knows Richmond, which I assume he does. And then this one is interesting. I don't know how good the signage is the other way around. I mean, that was a great sign, obviously. So a very easy round for me because I found the sign. And I recently had a round in the Geo Olympics, which is another tournament that's going on right now, which basically you had to qualify for the main event, and then you had like quarterfinals, semifinals, and now we're on to the finals. Finals next week. Probably this week by the time the video goes live. And that seed had a round, actually, yeah, exactly. limit in that is the 4th of April, I think, the deadline. So it should be fine to talk about it. Otherwise, I'm going to have to cut this out. But it had a round that was near here on a world seed. That was a remote world. And I was complaining to myself because this is not a remote area, in my opinion. But either way, so I knew the landscape looked sort of like this. It looked very similar. So it would have gone in this sort of area anyway. But obviously, the sign helped. Now let's talk about the other seeds. Let's just quickly go through here. Division 5. First off, I want to say pretty much all of the other division seeds were fun in some regard. Some of them were fun throughout. Some of them had like one round that was kind of like, what is this? Division 5 seed was exactly that. It has 4 very fun rounds. We started off in, sort of fun, in the south of Saskatchewan, which is kind of a very distinct looking area because it's kind of a very desert-like. It's just sand and very deserted, kind of very dry area. And funnily enough, a lot of buildings here, a lot of official buildings, in this case, I think it was the White Water Coulee Cleaners building, had Bracken, Saskatchewan written on it. So as long as you made it here, you would have had a very easy time finding it because, well, looking at, I can quickly show you that. Looking at the surroundings here, this is like typical south part of Saskatchewan. Okay, now I need to figure out, let me make a quick cut here. All right, I figured out again which shortcut it is to close tabs. It's Control W. Go back to Division 5. So yeah, relatively easy to figure out because this is typical South Saskatchewan. If you went another way, presumably you would have had a much rougher time, but I think a couple of those were dead ends anyway. So, and kind of depends on if you're a person like me who apparently always goes away from the town. But if you're the more logical person who actually goes into town, you probably would have found that anyway. Round 2 was Brazil. More specifically, the city of Candelaria, which is a quite nice name actually. Walked south a bit. I saw a couple of signs in the city itself that pointed me towards Santa Cruz do Sul. But eventually I found, what did I find? I think, I'm not even sure anymore what I found, to be honest. Let me actually go back there and figure that out. It was actually quite interesting as well. Quite a nice city here. Let me actually see over here. I think it was distances. Was it past here? Oh, was it before that? There we have the RSC 287, which kind of tells you you're in Rio Grande do Sul. Alright, where? I've completely lost it now. Down here. I think it was a bit earlier than the sign. Yeah, that was the sign. From the other side though. Was it that sign? Yes. Santa Cruz, Rio Pardo, Venancio Aires. Couple of cities there. And yeah, then I found that street sign, and then it was relatively easy. Once I saw Santa Cruz do Sul, it's just, zoom in on Candelaria basically. After that, we had round 3, and that was also nice because you actually had street names right at your spawn point. You saw that was clearly visible. That was hard to read, but you could figure it out either way with the church there. On to round 3, which was in Sweden, which was super easy, as you can see there with 1 minute and 17. And I even double checked and triple checked that, and it still only took me just over a minute. Because we spawned at an intersection here that leads into the town of Fosjödal. And like right here is something, there was a sign, like pretty much in sight, I think. There was a sign that told you we're on the 314. So you pretty much didn't even have to move. I had to do a quick double check to see whether it was this road or this road into town. But yeah, very easy round. And then round 4, we were in New Zealand. And the interesting thing was, I think it was it this one? No, it wasn't this one. It was one that we'll get to later, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, this is kind of typical New Zealand. But it took forever, as you can see there, 4 minutes 54, yeah. It took me traveling all the way to over here until I found a sign that pointed me towards, told me we're on the one, and pointed me towards Kaitaia and Whangarei in one side and Cape Renga in the other. And something you should do if you can, I remembered while traveling that we came from Te Pua Road, and then were on Power Road once we got off the main onto the main road. So I just looked across there and looked, and pretty much first road had the right name, so went up here, right name, and pretty much there we were. But that's definitely a round that I see a lot of people struggling with. Again, not necessarily with New Zealand, that's relatively obvious, but finding the exact place is pretty tough there and might require you to move pretty fast. And then we had round 5 in Mato Grosso do Sul. I traveled all this distance, I didn't find anything. Nothing, not a single thing. Not even like a sign towards a town where you're like, yeah, that's a town, but looking for one town in all of Brazil, who knows? No, nothing. Absolutely nothing. I eventually ended up guessing up here just because I thought it might be. No, absolutely not. I can show you a bit of what it looked like, but it was just very like not really that distinctive Brazil, kind of wet, relatively green, but also like kind of reddish, which is like a lot of places in Brazil. Kind of like this whole area down here, even extending up here, all of this kind of looks like that occasionally. All of Roraima looks like this a bit. The Amazon kind of looks like this occasionally. So it's kind of like, yeah. I'm interested to see actually how the Division 5 people do with that round in particular. Because as you see, I traveled both sides and I didn't find anything. If you travel in one direction only and really go as fast as you can, maybe you'll find some signs. But yeah, I'll be interested in how many people can pinpoint that one, or even like find the general location. Moving on, Division 4 was actually, again, pretty fun seed. It started us off in the middle of nowhere, Mongolia. Yeah, with a location like this, absolutely pointless to move. You will not find any information. There's literally 0 points. Which is also why I just used 43 seconds. Pretty much, as long as you're in a location like this in Mongolia, where you clearly can't see a city anywhere, don't move. It's not worth your time. I mean, if it's your seed, you might as well use the time you have, but, you know, you're not going to find anything. You know, this area here looks quite similar. It ended up being up here. A lot of this looks same-ish, so yeah, alright guess. The most important thing there for me is that this is closer to the right location than Ulaanbaatar is. I always get annoyed when I make like an educated guess in Mongolia and I'm further away than the guy who just put it in the capital because he has no idea where he is. Anyway, on to round 2. In the US, in New Mexico, on a main intersection on a highway, I pretty much didn't need to move. I looked quickly at what exit number this was. There were signs for both the 40 and the 84 here. And then I realized this meeting of the 84 and the 40 isn't it. And this meeting of the 84 and the 40 isn't it. So I had to look at the exit numbers. And that led me to this place here. Actually interesting there is this is a dead end in Street View coverage. I mean, it is a dead end either way, but the Street View coverage ends about here. So that was the main reason why I instantly knew anyway that it couldn't have been this or this. But yeah, 2 minutes 18, easy find. Next up was round 3 in Brazilian, in the city of, Taucapesaçu, or Novo Airão. I found signs for this one. I didn't see that one anywhere, but either way. it was relatively easy to tell we're in the Amazon. I found a building that had AM34 on it within 5 seconds, and after that I walked around a bit more until I eventually found Novo Airao, and from that point onwards I just looked through. I also noticed obviously that we're somewhere near the Amazon, or in this case actually that's not the Amazon, that's the Rio Negro. The Amazon is this, it's like a side river. Then I just looked for Novo Airao anywhere and found it here eventually. Took me quite a while, but I'm also that's another one that interests me, and how many people would get that one correct. I think it's pretty easy to figure out that you're in the Amazon, but finding the exact place could be tough. Next one, Nigeria. That one took me quite a while as well. Actually, that was Brazil, but not much of a time difference there. Immediately, first you spawn in, first sign you see Benin City in Enugu State. Was it Enugu State actually? Yeah, I think it is. Let me check. Edo State, sorry. So you instantly know where you are, but then it's about finding out where exactly you are. That took quite a while. I traveled quite a distance here, as you can see, so I knew it had to be like a very long straight road going sort of west-east, and that's not anywhere in Benin City itself. So I kind of expanded my search radius a bit, and that was the only thing that fit really. That also had that other highway crossing it north-south. So yeah, not as long as you kind of don't focus too much on, oh, the sign said Benin City, we have to be in the city itself, you should be fine there. And then to finish it off, location 5, we went to Chile. An interesting location actually, because you spawn pretty much in the middle of nowhere. If I can show you that quickly. Yeah, certainly looks like Chile. Could also be Argentina, but not a lot of information around. And if you travel to the west, as you can see there, you're not really getting anything. And that is also quite the long distance. That is further than it looks on the map. I'd say that is about 10 kilometers. Could be. Maybe it's only like 8. Actually, now that I think about it, why not check? If I'm already here, might as well. From right around here to there. It's only 6 kilometers actually, so it's not too bad, but still it's further than it looks. Whereas on the other hand, if you go to the east, you come to the main road pretty quickly, and down here there's a sign that tells you you're on the road 23 in Chile and points you towards Tocanao. And also there's a sign here that points you back towards Laguna Cejar or Cejar into here. So that's relatively easy to find, but again, relatively tough to pinpoint when a little bit too far west. But yeah, that was the Division 4 seed. Pretty fun one. Could be tough for people to beat that score because it kind of requires you to do well in Mongolia, which is not easy. And the other rounds aren't easy either. I mean, sure, round 2 and 4 are. Round 5 might be. Anyway, onto the Division 3 seed, which shows my dislike for the US again. We started off though in Russia. Quite an interesting location actually. I liked that. I spawned in and I was like, because Division 4 and Division 5 didn't have any Russia, so I kind of forgot about its existence. And then I spawned into the Division 3 scene and I was like, oh, Russia. But I didn't have to move too far. I think I walked for about 2 minutes, maybe, towards the south until I found a very useful sign that told me we were between Uruguay and Sovietsky. Interestingly enough, I had never heard of either of this before. That's probably not the interesting part. I did not know exactly that it was Uruguay. I just saw the Cyrillic, and my first thoughts that came into my mind, I don't know why, I mean that is clearly why in Cyrillic, because the one without the tilde upon it, over it, is an I. So it wouldn't make sense that that's a Y. But my first thought was Ural, like the Ural Mountains, which are around here. And that's why I looked in that area, and then I was, oh, there it is. Take it. Yeah, then Sovietsky on the other side, and then I kind of had to look for a river because we crossed near one. I knew it wasn't this one, but I ran out of time. That was the only one I could find that fit sort of direction-wise, in my opinion. That one was the actual one. Again, not always the most accurate map. The river actually does cross over here, but whatever. Again, another round where I'm interested in seeing how people do. We then went over to the US again. That was another super interesting round for me, because for the longest time, until I made it to the city, I was convinced we were somewhere in Europe, Eastern Europe. Like, looking at this, I was like, could be the Balkans. Probably. Maybe something like Romania. I actually missed that speed limit sign. That probably could have helped, to be honest. But just looking at the landscape, I thought could be Romania. Could be, I don't know, maybe odd Bulgaria or something like that. Until I made it eventually to the town of Aguilar and saw typical American street signs. And I was very confused. And then there was like there was the United States Post Service that was like, Aguilar, Colorado. So that pretty much told me where we are. But if I had to play that non-moving, that could have been awful. Going forward, round 3, Mexico. Pretty easy one. We were in Lo de Marcos. That was Lo de Marcos. That was written on a couple of different things. And then once you walk down here, you had signs towards Puerto Vallarta and Tepic. Actually, relatively difficult. I mean, Puerto Vallarta stands out massively. But if you don't look at the map, the interesting thing there is that if you saw the ocean, you saw it to the north. Oops, don't really want to show you. If you saw the ocean, you saw it to the north, which for Mexico on the west coast is a rarity. So you probably wouldn't suspect the west coast initially. I was, when I looked at the signs that told me Tepic and Puerto Vallarta, I knew I recognized both of them, but I kind of didn't know exactly where from, so I was looking over here until I eventually moved like one step further and saw we're like on the 200, which I know goes along here. Round 4, North Dakota. Actually, I didn't find a single thing, honestly, just didn't find anything. Eventually, once I moved down here, I actually found a sign that said Highway 23. So I hoped, because it's not like I had a different choice, I hoped that it was a US highway. It was a state highway. Yeah. And then round 5 to finish it off. Again, I didn't find I can't say I didn't find a single thing. I found confirmation that we're in a Spanish-speaking country, because I found a sign that said Escuela number 29 or something. Now that I think about it, no, that's not a road number here. Okay, good. Yeah, I didn't find anything really. Just landscape-wise, it reminded me of this area. So I hit the right latitude exactly, but was just on the wrong side of the Paraguay border. And for the last one, the Division 1 seed, which Simi's already played, and did better than me. I was actually kind of confused about some of that, because I thought I did quite well in some of the rounds, and despite that, apparently these people found the locations relatively easily. We started off in round 1 in Rondonia. I moved a bit towards this side. There was a sign that told me we're in Rondonia and gave me distances to Villena and Colorado and Cabichi. But for some reason, I thought we were northwest of Villena. Which is why my marker's there. And I thought 100 kilometers was much more than that, which just reminded me again that Brazil is just huge. And I should probably adjust my thinking of how far distances are when I'm in it. I don't know how I didn't see Colorado. Stands out at the same zoom all, but I didn't. Anyway, we then moved on to round 2, which was in the Philippines, on the island of Bohol. I actually just now see Garcia Hernandez. I saw that right at the end of my round as well. But because we were so close to the ocean, I was just not even looking there. I was just kind of looking for cities alongside the ocean like this. So I didn't see Garcia Hernandez. I eventually saw this eventually, the Garcia Hernandez Municipal Police Station. So I knew we were right around there, but at that point I didn't have any time to pinpoint anymore, so I just went sort of slightly north of the main road here, somewhere. Round 3 went on in Colombia, right up there. Didn't really find much of anything. I eventually walked all the way down here, and I saw a sign for Cabo de la Villa. Obviously, I had no idea where that is. I mean, why would I? But kind of just looked around the edges. God damn it. I mean, I can show you that a bit of that. So it was obvious that we're somewhere near a coast to the north in Colombia. Colombia because of the yellow number plates, coast because water. But yeah, there was no other sign apart from that, and eventually I found a Punta la Vela here and thought maybe, but no, was up there. And then round 4, Turkey. Nothing, literally nothing. We were next to a river apparently. Walked down here, didn't find anything. Went back to the start, saw that there's a dead end this direction, and knew that like half the time has passed, so I wouldn't be getting any more information anyway. So I just kind of plonked it down somewhere in Turkey next to a lake. Chose this one. Why not? So that was another one where I was like, Simi got that relatively easily. Interesting. I wonder what he found. And then in round 5 was Ecuador, Guayaquil. There was like a sign for Guayaquil within 20 seconds on the main road here. But it was relatively difficult to figure out where exactly in the city you are. It was this bridge that I crossed, but there's a couple of bridges in Guayaquil. I knew that we'd had to be somewhere in the south here. I don't think I saw this really, because eventually I thought that we might have crossed this bridge. No, was this one? Yeah, some people will find it, I didn't. So anyway, that was all the seeds for week 4 of Reddit League Season 3. I hope you enjoyed watching the video. I hope I'm going to win against Radox. I'll let you know next week if I did. So thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.